Ava hadn't celebrated her birthday in 5 years, not since the accident. Every year, July 11th arrived with the same quiet, no cake, no candles, no parties. Just silence. The kind that echoed louder than any scream. That night, on her 18th birthday, Ava sat alone in her room, scrolling through photos she had long stopped looking at pictures of two girls with matching smiles, braided hair, and bracelets that spelled A and E. The silence broke. Her phone buzzed. One new message. Happy 18th, Avi. I miss you. The contact was unknown, but the name Avi, only one person had ever called her that. Her heart stopped for a moment. She stared at the screen, hoping it was a joke, a cruel one, a hack, a glitch. But then another message appeared. You still wear the bracelet, don't you? Ava's hand instinctively touched her wrist. The woven string bracelet, frayed, faded, but never removed. The one Ella gave her on their 12th birthday. She stood up, breathing unevenly. Her room suddenly felt smaller, heavier. The mirror across the room seemed darker than it should. She texted back, "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared, typing. Then the final message came. "I remember the lake. Do you?" Ava dropped her phone, and outside her window the garden lights flickered just once. The kind of flicker Ella always used to say meant someone's trying to say hi. And just like that, the silence returned. But it wasn't the same anymore. Who is texting Ava? Is it really Ella, or someone who knows too much? The mystery has begun, and what comes next will question everything she thought she forgot. The silence returned, but it wasn't the same anymore, because now Ava was listening. That night, she didn't sleep. She lay frozen on her bed, eyes locked on her phone, waiting half with fear, half with hope that the messages would return. But they never did. When the sun came up, she looked different, not older, just haunted, and somewhere deep inside she knew this wasn't over. She tried to tell herself it was someone playing a twisted prank, maybe someone from school who somehow found out about Ella. But the bracelet, the lake, the name Avi. There were things no one could have known. Later that day, while searching for her charger, Ava pulled her old suitcase from under the bed. That's when she saw it. A wooden box. Small, dusty, wedged far in the corner. She didn't remember putting it there. Her hands trembled as she pulled it out. It had her name carved into it, Ava and Ella, 2009. Her breath caught. That was the year they made the secret box. She opened it slowly, the hinges creaking like an old whisper. Inside were silly notes, dried flowers, candy wrappers, and a photo. Of them. In front of the lake, and under the photo a phone, pink, cracked, the exact model Ella had. But it had been lost in the accident. No one ever found it. No one except maybe Ava. She held it up, confused, like it was a ghost in her hand. The screen was dark. But the moment she touched the power button, it turned on. No SIM card, no service, but one message appeared on the lock screen. "Welcome back, Avi." Her hands shook, and behind her, just faintly, something creaked in the hallway. Not like a house settling, like footsteps. Why did Ella's phone suddenly appear? Who turned it on? And why does Ava feel like the house is remembering things she doesn't? Behind her, just faintly, something had creaked. Ava turned slowly toward the hallway. It was empty. Still. But she knew what she heard, not the sound of settling walls or shifting pipes. These were footsteps. Quiet, careful, like someone who didn't want to be found. "Dad?" she called. No answer. She stepped closer to the hallway, every inch of her body tense, like air itself had turned heavy. The light at the end flickered again. Once, then out. She stood in the silence for a full minute, not daring to blink. Then a sound, soft, familiar, a whisper. Her name, Avi. It was Ella's voice, but not in a memory, not from a video. It was here, in this house, behind that door. The guest room. No one had entered it in years, since the funeral. Her parents had kept it shut, saying it was too painful. Ava's fingers hovered over the doorknob, her breathing shaky, lips pressed tightly together. She opened it. Dust floated like ghosts in a beam of window light. Everything inside was untouched. Ella's old backpack on the desk, her shoes under the bed, her painting half finished on the easel. But something was different. A voice, no, voices, whispering. She stepped further in, the sound faded. But the phone in her pocket buzzed again. A new message! Don't let her in! Ava froze. Her eyes darted around the room. No one was there, yet the feeling grew stronger, like she was being watched by something that wasn't Ella. And then a knock. From inside the closet. Whose voice is the second one? Why did Ella's old room remain preserved like a memory? And who or what is knocking from inside the closet that no one has opened in years? Ava didn't move. Her hand still gripped the glowing phone. The message was still there. Don't let her in. The knock came again, this time slower, deliberate, like it was waiting for her to answer. The room felt smaller suddenly, like the air was thickening. Her knees weakened. She looked at the closet door. It hadn't been opened in years. She remembered her dad hammering it shut after the accident. He said, "Some things are better left untouched." But now it was moving. The knob turned ever so slightly, like a breath was on the other side. Ava backed away, but her feet hit the edge of the bed. The phone in her hand buzzed again. "Don't listen to her." She looked around. "Who?" she whispered. Another message appeared, the one pretending to be me. Her chest tightened. Her breath came fast and shallow. Something inside the closet scratched, not banging, just dragging, like nails across wood. Her voice barely a whisper, she asked the room, "Ella, is that you?" The knob stopped turning, and then a reply. Not from the phone, from the closet. "You should have stayed away." Is Ava speaking to her sister or something that wears her voice? What was sealed inside the closet, and why did her father try to hide it all these years? "You should have stayed away." The words echoed not from behind the door, but inside her own head. Ava stumbled back, her legs trembling. That voice, it didn't sound quite like Ella. It was deeper, cracked, like something trying too hard to mimic her. She turned and ran from the room, slamming the door behind her. Her phone slipped from her hand, skidding across the floor. When she picked it up, the screen was black. It wouldn't turn on. She curled up on the living room couch, heart still racing. For the first time, she wanted her parents to come home, but they wouldn't be back until morning. A sharp ringing startled her. Not her phone, the house landline. They hadn't used it in years. She walked slowly toward the wall phone in the kitchen. It rang again and again. Then it stopped. She stood there, waiting. A new sound came instead. The click of the answering machine, then static, and then a voice. "Avi, remember the garden? The violets? You buried my necklace there." Ava froze. That was Ella's voice, exactly as she remembered. Soft, warm, not the twisted mimic from the closet. But Ava never remembered burying a necklace. She went to the backyard the moment the sun rose. The garden was overgrown, forgotten. But when she knelt and pushed back the ivy, her fingers touched something hard. A rusted silver chain, still wrapped around a small cracked locket. She opened it. Inside, a photo of her and Ella, but not one she remembered ever taking. In the photo, Ella was smiling. Ava wasn't. She was crying. If she doesn't remember the moment in the photo, did it really happen? Or is someone trying to rewrite her past one message at a time? Ava was crying in the photo not because she was sad, but because she remembered. It hit her like a wave crashing through time. The necklace, the fight. She and Ella had argued that day about something small who broke the music box. But the anger had turned sharp. Ella ran out crying, clutching the locket. Hours later, the accident happened. And Ava had forgotten all of it. Or maybe she chose to. She stared at the locket again, her tears now matching the girl in the photo. That's when her phone, silent all night, lit up again with a new message. "I didn't fall, Avi." Her knees gave way. She collapsed into the ivy. Didn't fall. The memory was shifting, warping. What had everyone told her back then? That Ella slipped while climbing the backyard tree, that it was an accident. But what if it wasn't? The phone buzzed again. "You left me!" Ava screamed, not out of fear, but guilt. Was there more to that day? More than a forgotten fight and a fall? The air around her thickened, as though memory itself was trying to smother her. She stood and ran inside to the attic. It was the only room her parents never unlocked, the only place she had never dared to enter alone. The lock was old, but this time it was open. She stepped into the dust, heavy dark. At the center of the room, covered by a cloth, was the music box. She reached out, and as her hand touched it, it began to play. A haunting melody, familiar, wounded, and then a whisper from behind. "Now you remember." The voice was soft, almost kind, like a lullaby Ava hadn't heard since she was 5. She turned slowly, expecting nothing, but hoping for someone. The attic was empty. No shadows moved, no footsteps echoed. But the air felt full, and then the music box stopped playing. It didn't wind down, it cut off like someone had snapped the sound mid-note. Ava stood frozen, her hands trembled near the lid. She hadn't opened it, but it was open now. Inside was a note, handwritten, old paper, edges yellowed, her name scribbled on the corner in Ella's handwriting. It said, "You promised to tell the truth, you still haven't," Ava whispered. "What truth?" Her voice cracked. That's when a second line appeared below the first, as though written by invisible ink just now surfacing. "Ask the mirror." She hadn't seen it before, but now it stood behind her, tall, antique, untouched by dust. Ava turned. The reflection showed the attic, her, and a second figure standing just behind her. She whirled around, no one. The mirror remained, silent, cold. She stepped toward it, heart pounding like thunder in a bottle. "Ella?" Her voice was barely a breath. Then the reflection smiled. But only the reflection. Ava's own face stayed still. The mirror, Ava tilted its head and whispered back, "You need to remember what you did." The attic light flickered. The floor beneath her creaked. Ava wanted to run, but the mirror held her there not with force, but with the one thing stronger, regret. The reflection stepped forward. It raised a finger and wrote on the inside of the mirror, "One last question." Ava stared at the words on the mirror's foggy surface, her breath clouding the glass as if her reflection was alive. And she was the ghost. She whispered, "What is it?" The words didn't change, but the mirror did. Images rippled through it like water flashes of 2 little girls, a forest trail, a birthday party, and finally the lake. The same lake where Ella was found, or rather, what was left of her. Ava gasped, not from fear, but from something deeper. Realization. Her hand reached out, trembling toward the mirror's surface, not to touch it, but to reach through it. And it gave. Like a veil pulled aside, the attic vanished, and she stood on the edge of that same lake again. But this time, the water was calm. Someone sat at the dock. A girl in white, hair tied in twin braids, humming the tune from the music box. Ava walked forward, slowly, as if time didn't matter here. She sat beside her, Ella. The girl smiled gently. "You didn't let go. I couldn't leave." Ava's eyes welled with tears. "I was afraid. So was I," Ella said. "But I wasn't mad. Not really." A pause. "You tried to save me, even when it was too late." Ava choked on her tears. "I never forgave myself." Ella took her hand. "Then forgive me for making you hold on." The wind changed. The lake sparkled. Ava blinked. Ella was gone. But something remained. Peace. When Ava opened her eyes again, she was in the attic. Alone. The mirror was just a mirror. The music box, closed, silent. But Ava? She smiled truly for the first time in years. Outside, morning light poured in through the attic window, and with it, a sense that the goodbye she never got had finally happened.